Now they lost it on the 40 acres on campus grounds. We gather around, discussing goals and dreams and life's adventures. The Texas Longhorns, they're the talk of the town. Podcast tales of the 40 acres, where we dive deep into the game day stories, from touchdowns to heartbreakers. We discuss it all, Texas Longhorns glory. Yeah, we gather around each Thursday night, talking sports, it's so alright. From football to basketball, baseball to softball, Tim Wayne and Harry, we cover it all. Sports talk is our passion, our delight. Thursday night at 8:30, we unite. We discuss the scores, the plays, the teams who might. Let's dive into the game, let's ignite.
12 conference champions.
Yo, what's up? We're back. It is the Texas Longhorn Fan Battle Podcast. We took a bye week just like the Texas Longhorns took a much needed bye week. We'll talk about that, the college football playoff rankings, and more. We got a lot to talk about. Tim Wayne, how you doing, man? What's up, Tim Wayne? How you doing, bro?
Man.
Awesome, bro.
Man.
Doing well.
Man. What a week. What a week.
What a week it has been.
It has been a crazy week.
Did you by any chance have you played the new Call of Duty?
Yes, I have.
What'd you think?
I'm not opposed to it. It's not bad to me.
As someone who hasn't played it in like 3 or 4 years, awesome. I'm loving it.
Okay, so you're in it.
Yeah, I think I'm like level 37 online.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I'm like in it. Like I play at least like it's chill to like, especially when you play a fucking terrible ass game like FIFA so much. And then just like play NCAA. It's like it's a nice like side game to play. Just like because you can get quick matches in and out. You know, knock out a couple here and there. It's fun. It's fun. I like it. Enjoying it a lot. But anyway, today we are here to talk about the college football rankings, what we think about them. I think first what we need to do is explain them because I think there's a lot of confusion on how like the rankings compared to the actual seedings of the teams. And now that we're seeing them for the first time, we're seeing how maybe the committee might view some of these schools. It's a great time to cover it. And at the end of the day, right, some of these rankings are just based off of who's seated at the top of the conferences today. And that's the thing that's getting a lot of people confused. So we'll talk through that. Before we do that, let's pay some bills. As always, fanbattlesports.com, where you can get the latest and greatest from the AFC South. Only one good team that even anybody cares about right now, the Houston Texans, who are probably the most inconsistent team in the AFC right now, fanbattlesports.com. If you're a Colts fan, I'm sorry. We have entered shit show territory. fanbattlesports.com.
Yikes.
And nobody cares about the Mayo Boys. Follow us on Twitter at LH Fan Battle. Almost at 3,000 followers. Let's see if we can get there by the end of the season. I think we're like at 2,900.
Yeah.
Almost at 2,900. So we're
That's
like 2,871, 75, something like that. So definitely, give us a follow. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. Fan Battle at LH Fan Battle. And of course, you can join us here on Twitter, on YouTube, wherever your favorite place can be. Like, subscribe, comment on the show. 57 subscribers. I like to get to 75 subscribers by the time we get to the college football playoff. and then 100 by the time we get into the off season. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are live every Thursday night. Sometimes we ad hoc it depending on what's going on in our personal lives. And yeah, so follow us on YouTube. All righty, Tim. Well, let's get right into it. Let's talk first and foremost. I'm going to share the playoff bracket, and then we can kind of go from there. And I think it's important to share it, and then we'll talk through it. We'll kind of look at what it says, and then I'll get your initial thoughts on it, and then we'll kind of go from there. So, this is where the I didn't see. Okay, actually, it's right here. So this is where the playoff bracket currently stands. Notice there are two ranking numbers here, and you know what we have here is two rankings. Your the number, the small number that's right next to your, let's just say your school is your actual ranking. So that's the ranking you'll see on Saturdays, right?
Right.
And then the big gray number or the big gold number is distinguishable. That's your playoff seeding,
right,
based off of where you currently sit today in your conference, right? I think that's the big thing to call out. So, Oregon number one, just to go down here. Oregon is number one. We'll talk about seeds here in a second. Oregon 1, Ohio State 2, Georgia 3, Miami 4, Texas 5, Penn State 6, Tennessee 7, Indiana 8, BYU 9, Notre Dame 10, Alabama 11, and Boise State 12. So, according to the playoff committee, this is now the actual ranking that you have, your CFP ranking.
Right.
So let's just talk about the top 12. We'll talk about the seeding for a second. In a second, what do you think, just like ranking wise, looking at the top
12? Yeah, we discussed, and I know there's a number of things that we're going to discuss how the college football playoff works. We're going to discuss why the seeding is the way it is currently, and then we're going to also continue. But just from looking at it right now, I mean, I'm not happy with it, but again, I understand what they're looking at. They're looking at based on like conference champions. Honestly, outside of maybe two, there's two teams that I don't think is going to win the conference championship. Would you like for me to share who they are?
There's how many teams?
4.
4 teams.
There's 2. I'm sorry. There's 2 teams that I don't feel that are going to win the conference championship.
Yeah,
I know it's all based off of projection and how they feel is what they're projected to do, but I don't think Oregon is going to win the Big Ten. And you just went blank. I mean, you just went mute.
Sorry.
All right, good. Okay, so I don't think I still don't think, I'm not sold on Oregon completely just yet, and I'm not sold on Miami. So I understand why they are where they are, and I understand based on the college football playoff format why they are where they are. I just don't see them being there at the end of the year. Not saying that it's not possible, because Oregon has really knocked off their most important foe, which is Ohio State. But I still don't trust Oregon, even though they're the number 1 team in the nation. And Clemson should technically have 3 losses, and they don't. But that's neither here nor there. They don't have them, so I still don't think that they're more talented than Clemson. I do think Cam Ward is the Heisman frontrunner after what he's been doing in the last couple of weeks. But Cam Ward is the best college quarterback to me right now currently.
You think Cam Ward is the Heisman frontrunner?
In my opinion, yes. Cam Ward is the Heisman frontrunner.
I think he's third.
I get why you would think he's third. I'm going to assume you're going to put Shador and Travis or Ashton Gentry.
I'm going to put, so I think Travis Hunter is by far the best player in college football. It's not even close.
I understand that. Here's the thing about Ashton Gentry. Outside of highlights, me and you watch the game because me and you, we stay up till 2:00 in the morning and watch these games.
Yeah.
I don't believe a lot of these Heisman voters are staying up to watch these Boise State games. I just don't believe it. The last game that Boise State played last week went till well 1:30 in the morning. I
Yeah.
passed out at like right before the end of the fourth quarter,
Yeah. I
and
watched
and it was a great game. Like I thought it was a great game. I thought Ashton Gentry had a phenomenal game, like he always does. But I don't believe that these Heisman winners are watching these games at 1 or 2 in the morning, especially if they live on the East Coast, which I believe a lot of them do. And I don't believe a lot of these Heisman voters are looking at Ashton Gentry as a front runner. Do I believe he could be a front runner? Absolutely.
I think he's
Um,
number 2 for me.
and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. However, um,
You know the thing that
basically,
keeps Ashton Gentry like up there for me is
what's
the
that?
fact that he's almost about to beat Barry Sanders' single season rushing.
I think it'll be phenomenal if he's able to beat it.
Yeah.
However,
He's on pace to do so, right?
he's on pace to do so. My
So
thing is this: how many people are going to be up to watch Barry Sanders' record get broken?
yeah, no, I mean it's a good point, right? I mean, if you look at Boise State's remaining record or remaining schedule, I'm pulling it up right now. They're ranked 12. So, whoops, wrong team. So let's see, Boise. Yeah, so they play at 7 o'clock this weekend,
That's
six
great.
o'clock next weekend. They don't have any more late games the rest
Oh,
of the
that's
season.
fantastic. So people
So
will be able to actually watch him play, like a majority of the country. That's great.
I think that was intentional. I think because he's in this race, they've changed because
You think
in
they flexed
college
him? You think that they flexed Boise State in?
they don't schedule these games out in college, right? They actually play it week by week,
Right.
right? So I think that's intentional to show so that again, to your point, people can watch these guys play.
Right.
They're playing on Fox, they're playing on CBS, like they're not playing on networks that people won't be able to watch them.
That's good because what there has been a couple of games where you had to, if you didn't have like a good cable subscription with a good sports package, you weren't watching Boise State play.
Yeah.
So however, again, just based off of what I'm seeing, I understand it. I don't like it. I understand it. I don't, again, I'm not a fan, but I understand why the seating is the way it is. And honestly, looking at this right now, I would be honestly, I kind of wish I kind of want to see. I'm all for the expansion of the playoff. I wish we would have went from 4 to 8.
Yeah,
Just being
I
honest.
agree there. Yeah. I don't listen, I thought it was
Because
eventually going to get to 16. Like I think
yeah,
that's going to be the sweet spot eventually. I think the jump from 4 to 12 was kind of crazy. And we're only getting 2 years of this 12.
right,
After next year it's going to 14.
right,
And I think so that puts us at like what, 2026, 2027 season?
yeah.
By 2030, this is going to be a 16 team playoff.
Let me
Even
ask
that.
you. Let me ask you this: Do you? And we're gonna be talking. We're gonna talk money. I only see 3, maybe 4, really just absolute stellar sellout, like absolute like crazy games. That Alabama Texas game always going to be that's always going to be a thing. That might even start. I would say that could. We're on the precipice of starting somewhat of a rivalry there with Alabama Texas.
Yeah, they
Um,
played 3 times in the last 4 years.
yeah, the way that's going, that could easily turn into like some type of rivalry.
Yeah,
All it takes is
sure.
somebody to give it a nickname, and it can go from there.
Yeah.
Penn State, Notre Dame. Jesus Christ, you want to talk about battle of the blue bloods? Like that's like what
Yeah.
more could you possibly want? Now, what we do know, and we talked about this last week as it was happening. Uh, James Franklin is not good in these big profile games.
Oh yeah, James Franklin is going to get fired this year if they don't want to play off.
James Franklin is 1-13 against top 10 opponents, and it's
They're
not
pissed.
good. And listen, they had an opportunity to put Ohio State away last week, and they shit the bed. I can't even sugarcoat it. They absolutely shit the bed when they had an opportunity to put Ohio State away. Ohio State was not playing their best ball. Will Howard was being Will Howard, the Will Howard of Kansas State. That's how he was playing. He was playing like that, Will Howard.
Yeah.
And they wet it. They completely gave it up, and they let the offense and Jenkins, to kind of take over and go from there. That that Tennessee Indiana game, ain't nobody trying to see that. And Boise State and Ohio State, that only matchup that like I feel like only college football like fanatics would like that, because that's a true David versus Goliath matchup, right? You got Boise State, who's taken down a giant before with Oklahoma back in the day. That will forever, live in the college football, history, like of upsets, how they ran the Statue of Liberty, and how the quarterback ended up proposing to his now wife, and they've been married and going strong ever since.
Yep.
Unless you are a college football diehard, that matchup is only in Ashton Gentry, doing what he's done is the only thing that's going to hold that game. That's going to hold that game and hold water. Other than that, like, these matchups wouldn't be great. Tennessee, Oregon, I think if Tennessee were to win, okay, that's a great matchup.
Yeah.
Ohio State, BYU, or Boise State, BYU. We know what BYU can do because we've seen BYU in the past. Of course, with them playing Texas, we know what they have. So that would appeal to us. Again, this wouldn't, to me, appeal to the average college football fan. I think the fact that it's a playoff game kind of holds a little bit more weight. But in any other situation, like Ohio State versus BYU or Boise State versus BYU, that's not going to hold water. Everything else, you get a Notre Dame versus Georgia or Penn State versus Georgia, that's box office. Alabama versus Miami, Texas versus Miami, box office. Tennessee versus Oregon, box office. I don't see Indiana being box office, although again,
this Indiana team is really good.
This Indiana team is fantastic. The way that they put a hurting on a couple of these teams that I've seen, they look really, really good. Could they possibly beat Oregon or Tennessee?
I think they could beat Tennessee. If you look at Tennessee's offense, if you're looking at how Tennessee is playing today, they could absolutely beat Tennessee. I can see them boat racing Tennessee, honestly, because the Tennessee's offense has been stagnant since like week 4.
Yeah, it has not been good. I don't, and that's Josh Heupel's.
That it's the same thing with Texas's. Like, our offense has not been very good in 6 weeks almost.
I would say more like since that Oklahoma game, I would say it's been It's like
Oklahoma game was just like it was. I mean, Quinn Ewers wasn't great in that Oklahoma game. He got a couple passes off that they got off on in that few short fields, but
right.
I mean, even Quinn Ewers was terrible in that Oklahoma game. If you look at his game, like his stats and the way he played.
Stat wise, yes, he was considered terrible, and our eyes compared to what he was doing weeks before. And before that injury, again, you know how I feel. I definitely feel that Quinn was I felt that Quinn was still hurt in that game.
I think he's still hurt today.
I think he's still hurt. I think too, it really showed up when he got blasted against Georgia.
Yep.
And I think he should have came back the week before so he can kind of get the groove back. Understanding like what it feels like to be hit. Of course, he's got he's going to have the flat jacket on because he did sustain an injury in that midsection area, which seems to either like, man, that abdominal shoulder area, like it's just not working out, man. I hope
oblique, that's popping up.
I hope he ends up getting better. I hope he's had some time to get better, especially after last week, because last week, there was a lot of hitting going on last week. That Vanderbilt team was not easy overcome. And so now that you had that bye week and you had some time to kind of relax and kind of get back into the flow of things, I hope that shows up again on Saturday, which is also just announced a couple hours ago, sold out.
Yeah,
So
because Texas is good, man. It's a home game for Texas.
so to be back in DKR this weekend is going to be fantastic. What are your initial reactions based on what you've seen here and what they presented last night?
Yeah, I mean, we can make an argument for Miami. Look, I'm not impressed by Miami at all. I've seen them play a multitude of times. Outside of Cam Ward, this team is terrible to me.
Right.
Honestly, like they'd probably be a 3 or 4 loss team.
Yeah, I definitely think with the play of Cam Ward, that's the only reason why they're at where they are and in the position that they're in.
Like if I were to put Miami, let's see, what's the rest of Miami's schedule on? Let me take a look now. So Miami this week, they play. So they play Georgia Tech this week. Georgia Tech's okay. They need a win to get a bowl game, right? They play Wake Forest next week, who might need a win to get into a bowl game, and they play Syracuse, who's 6-2. So like they don't have any easy games by any means. But they just haven't looked good. And then we'll see. Are they the team that plays? If they have to go against Clemson or SMU, do you think Clemson or SMU would beat? Or do you think Miami beats Clemson or SMU?
I think that Clemson and SMU. I think Clemson will give Miami a harder time. I think from a offensive standpoint, I think their defensive line, along with South Carolina and Georgia, I can't even put Georgia in that anymore because the way that they played Florida, just
dude, Carson Beck's been terrible this year.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened between those 2 weeks between Georgia and Texas and Georgia and Florida. I don't know what happened, but that defensive line completely disappeared in that Florida game. So
That's so weird. Yeah,
it's like a tale of two teams, you know.
There hasn't been one team that's been consistent all year. I guess Oregon is probably the closest to that because they started off slow, but now they've kind of hit their stride. Alabama's up and down. Indiana's probably the most consistent out of all these teams. If you look at like how their season's gone, BYU's been pretty consistent. And I know there's a couple comments here, so we'll take them real quick. Jeremy Withrow, what's up, my guy?
What's up, Jeremy?
Maybe the bracket is too small on my phone. Okay, Texas is ranked 5th. Like that is their ranking.
Right.
Based on how the playoff is set up, they are the 6th seed because Texas technically today just based off standings because Texas is not quote unquote a conference champion right now, right?
Right.
You have to win a conference to even be considered to be in the top 4.
Right.
Okay. And then if like you don't get top 4, then you'll be the 5th seed, right? And that's what the gold markings are, right? Those are currently the 4 highest ranked conference champions according to conference standings today. So basically all it says, Oregon obviously number 1, they're number 1 in the Big Ten. Georgia's currently first place in the SEC as far as conference ranking goes. Miami's number 3 in the conference rankings. Miami's the 3rd highest conference ranking champion, and then BYU's the 4th highest conference ranking champion. And then Boise State would be the next highest ranked conference champion. So then they just become the 12th team because they're mid-majors. So the next, and then from there it just goes by ranking, right?
Right.
So let's just say, all 4 of these stand, right? Let's just say Texas for the sake of argument. Let's say Texas wins the SEC. Texas would then jump into one of these top 4 spots.
Yeah.
Right. That's how this works. Texas will then jump into one of them. And then everybody else just gets ranked. So
Right.
that's a good question, Jeremy. This is where a lot of it gets confusing, and this is our first time seeing this format. So I thought it'd be a great time to explain that because it is very confusing. Keith says, "What's up, Keith? All I want is for LSU to be little Bama, so that Texas does not have to play them. Bama has always had favor from refs in the playoffs most times. Look, I don't know. LSU is also another one of those teams where you just don't understand what kind of team they are. Like they shit the bed in A&M. That's a game that they were leading, And Nussmeier came out and just all of a sudden went, I don't know what he was doing. He looked like Nate Peterman in that second half of that game. Like, he
Yep.
was just throwing stuff up there, like just to throw it up there. So yeah, I think this is a unique Alabama LSU game this week because neither team is great. I think Alabama is flawed all over the place, and they have a lot of issues, and they're trying to implement a new culture. Like this is exactly the type of stuff we talked about when it came to Alabama because it is. But hey, they're still ranked 11th. They're still in the dance, and all you have to do is get into the dance, and that's all that matters. Appreciate the explanation. Yes, sir. Hope you both are doing fan freaking tastic. Yes, sir. We are doing well.
Absolutely, Jim. Good. Thanks for coming in, man. Thanks for watching.
Make sure y'all like the video as y'all head out. We appreciate y'all
Yes,
hanging
sir.
out.
And shout out to Keith, man. Long time no talk to, man. I'll be in touch.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So yeah, I mean, yeah. Do I think these are the top four teams in the nation? Absolutely not. I think Texas is still one of the best four teams in the country. Like, if we get the Texas that we got like before the Quinn injury, like if we get that Texas back, I think they're the best team in the country. I still think they're the best team in the country. But with their recent woes, and they are um, with their recent woes and the offensive struggles and all that stuff and Quinn's injury, whatever. This Texas team, their defense is great. I still think they could beat any of these other four teams in its current state. I think they could beat. I think if you take a look at Ohio State, Oregon, and Georgia, Texas can beat any of those teams if it's the team that we saw pre Quinn injury, right? But in its current state, I think Texas at 5 is pretty accurate. The only other thing that I'm like iffy on these rankings about, I don't know about Notre Dame being the 10th best team in the country or ranked number 10. I'm not sold on Notre Dame. I don't think Notre Dame's very good. I would have probably thrown SMU in there because I think SMU currently is. I think they're second in the ACC, and that's a weak conference. I get that, but they've looked the best to me in that conference from a consistency perspective. So they look the best to me out of the ACC. I think they're better than Miami today. Like I would take in an SMU versus Miami matchup, on a neutral field, I would take SMU. Speaking of SMU, side note, I wanted to remind you guys that before the season started, I told you guys to watch out for SMU. Here they are. Tim, are you there? Tim is not there. So I had a quick question about SMU. Tim, when he gets back, we will ask him about that. But listen, this is just the first showing of this. This is going to be every Tuesday from now on. Okay. Tim said he will be right back. So listen, we are still after all these years trying to adjust to Kelly. Ryan Kelly is such an interesting character to me. He's an interesting coach. I always thought he was a good coach. I never thought he was a great coach. And so Brian Kelly to me is like the guy that he's almost like James Franklin to me in a way, except the only difference is he can get there, right? He gets to James Franklin levels when he gets to like the playoffs or when he gets to the national title game.
1,000%. I agree with that. 1,000%.
I'm calling this now Texas Georgia. Listen, if you look at Texas's road to the Final Four, beyond Ohio State, they probably have the second easiest.
Do you think they have the easiest route?
The second easiest road to the Final Four, yeah. Listen, I would take Texas over Bama. And remember, the other thing to remember, these 4 games right here, these are home games.
Those are home games, yeah.
That Alabama has to come back here. And they have to beat us, right? And yes, I understand Kalen DeBoer's record against Steve Sarkisian. I get all that stuff. But now you're saying, okay, forget a neutral field. Come play me at my home where I'm the most comfortable in front of the crowd. And Alabama's not been a great road team. This is a team that lost to Vanderbilt in Nashville. So they're not a great road team. So, yes, I do think Texas could beat Alabama today. And I think Texas would dog walk Miami. I'm just gonna be honest.
I wouldn't say Texas would dog walk them just because the simple fact that like we are like as much as we've been impressive without a lot of key pieces. I think within the last couple of weeks, not having a CJ Baxter or 100% Jaden Blue like
It's
has shown.
impacting, that's for sure. Yeah.
It's been impactful. I think I think if we have those, if we I think if we have like a Jaden Blue, I'm sorry, if we have like a CJ Baxter, we have a situation where we have a more of a workhorse. Not to say that the backs that we have not been great. They have the absolute. They've been absolutely great. Trey and Gibson, and Blue when he's able to get in there, I think they've been really really good. Neblett, he stepped up again, moving from wide receiver to running back has been crucial for the Longhorns. But it, now is the time where you need all of your forces.
This is how what I would debate that with the fronts.
Mm-hmm.
I I don't care who the running back is. I do think that our front would roll over their defense. Our offensive line would roll their defensive line, and I
Okay.
don't think their offensive line is very good. And we have a solid defensive line, and we have linebackers that have speed. I think that's the other, and we tackle very well. That's
Right.
the other. I think we tackle probably. I could argue better than any other team in the I you know, Georgia's had mishaps, Alabama's had mishaps, Ohio
Mhm.
State has had mishaps with tackling.
Yeah.
But beyond the Georgia
You
game, this
know who
Texas
also
team
tackles?
tackles
You know who also tackles very well that you did not mention?
Oregon.
Indiana.
Oh yes, Indiana tackles very well.
Indiana
Yeah.
tackles very well. They play really good lights out defense. They are
And they play
really.
great in open space too.
They have
That's the key
great.
is they tackle in open space.
They have great safeties. They've got
Yep.
great defensive backs, and they
It's an
fought to.
exciting team to watch, man.
Um, yeah, this is an exciting team. Again, not what we were expecting. I don't think
Yeah,
anybody was expecting Indiana to make its way um into a college football playoff situation. Um, and this is probably not what the college football playoff guys wanted. They probably wanted an Oklahoma and Tennessee to be 9-8. You know, so they can generate a little bit more money. But there's no
sure.
telling. Again, with these situations and these matchups go, and again we still have quite a couple of weeks here. Jeremy Winthrop says, "I want a rematch."
So do we.
So
I
do we.
listen.
I
I
think
want that rematch so
I
bad.
think if Sark approaches that game differently, I think they approach that game differently if they knew what the outcome was going to be. Again, that offensive line and defensive line got absolutely dog walked in that game.
They did. They did
Uh,
not play well at all.
Beck did not play good, and the defense did enough to keep the game in reach, and you were still unable to put it out there. Now, again, I don't necessarily know what or how you would attack it, but I'm from a coaching standpoint, maybe that's one of those things where as we get closer to the playoffs, maybe we bring on Coach Charlie Williams again, or maybe we bring in Coach Ware to see how they would attack it from an offensive and a defensive perspective. I would love to
Yeah, for
sit
sure.
down and talk X's and O's, but I mean, I personally just I think it's just straight up hustle at that point because
Yep.
to me, I don't think Georgia is. I don't think that Texas is not as talented as Georgia. I think Texas is just as talented, if not more, than Georgia. At that point in that specific game, under those circumstances, it looked like Georgia just wanted it more, and they had more of a chip. You could kind of see it with the way after the interview, after the game, the interview, the way it went, with God, I'm blanking on his name, but Georgia's head coach, they
Yeah.
have that interview, and he comes in there and it's like your entire sports broadcasting team picked against us, and you had a call reversed, and that was that basically they had all the fuel and fire that they needed to beat up on the Texas team.
Exactly.
Uh,
They had the passion, they had the heart. It comes down to who wants it more, man.
yeah, it came down to who wants it more. So again, hopefully we do get that rematch, Jeremy, and I'm hoping and praying we do get it because I do feel that there is a lot of talent on this Texas team. They just didn't play up to the potential that they should have in that matchup in early or late October.
Yeah. Yeah, and looking at the SEC standings, and we're talking about like can Texas get into? Listen, at this point in time, right? Because Georgia and Tennessee play each other, that cancels them each other out, right? One of those two guys, they both have a loss, they will cancel each other out because
Ooh,
Texas
who do you
A&M,
think wins? Who do you think wins that game?
Georgia. I just don't. Tennessee's offense does not convince me of anything.
Why do you think? Why do you think with the irrational play of Carson Beck? Why do you think that Georgia wins that game handily?
I don't know if they win it handily. I think they win a close one though. Because
Okay,
here's the thing: even with all of Carson Beck's mistakes over the last 4 weeks, he's done like what 9 interceptions in 4 weeks.
yeah,
He still finds those times where he needs to make a play and he makes them.
and he makes it. That is true.
That's
Let,
what
let,
it comes down to.
let me ask you one more question in regards to Georgia Tennessee. Where's that game played? Is that game in Tennessee?
Mm, I think it's Georgia, right? Yeah, it's in Georgia next week.
Okay,
Georgia
so
goes to Ole Miss this week. So now that's also thinking that Georgia takes care of Ole Miss this week, right? If Georgia
right.
loses to Ole Miss next week and Tennessee knocks Georgia off
I
next
don't
week,
see I don't see how they get in. Not with the way with the
here-
rankings.
well,
Not the
that's what
way
I'm
they're
saying.
right
The
now.
best case scenario for Texas right now, right, is Ole Miss beats Georgia this week, right? Tennessee then goes and beats, and then Georgia goes on and beats Tennessee next week.
Mhm.
Texas A&M and Texas are the top two seeds, and then Texas A&M and Texas went out. Those are your top two teams in the conference.
And at that point, I don't think Georgia, let's say Tennessee takes care of Georgia. That'd be their second loss. If SMU continues to win, you have to let them in. Because at
Oh no,
that
no, no,
point,
yeah. I was just talking just strictly like the SEC, like
yeah,
getting to the SEC
SEC
title
from
game.
from a top 12 perspective, because again, SMU is at 13, Boise State's at 12,
Yeah,
A&M is A&M's right there.
they're 13, right?
Their A&M is 14 and
Oh, A&M is
SMU
14, right? They're the
yeah,
second
A&M
one,
14,
second one out.
SMU is 13. You have to let them in.
Yep.
You have to.
Yeah.
So and anyway, it's
There's
again,
just so much football to play,
this
man.
is
Like,
this is so this is such an interesting this is what we're ahead of. This is what we have to see. This is what we have to look forward to for the next month.
this is gonna be
These
so cool.
rankings are going to be very crucial. And it may change and again, it may not. If these guys continue to, to put up and these guys are able to put teams away, now we're looking at a situation where, okay, we kind of know where we're at. I would imagine Sark would again, not I again, I know, they always preach, one game at a time, 1 week at a time, put one foot in front of the other. But if you're starting to win and you're starting to win out, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some assistants that start really researching these guys that are all of these guys in the top 12, regardless of where you are, where you're ranked, because you could end up playing one of them. And I really think the preparation and having a good coaching staff that's going to all play in a big way within these next couple of weeks. Now, again, Texas has no walk in the park. Florida almost went down swinging last week.
Yep.
They play very impressive, except with the injury to Lagway. That
That's
that
gonna be big,
absolutely
man.
that sucked because
That's gonna be big.
he was putting the ball in here. Lagway showed to me last week why he's a big deal. Like why
Oh, he's gonna be great.
he's
I think DJ Lagway is gonna be really good. And
if
look,
he
DJ Lagway is a scrambling quarterback, but he's not like the speed guy, right? He's the guy that's gonna. He gives me like Cam Newton vibes almost, right? Because he's gonna run your ass over,
he's
right?
big. Yeah, he's
And
not
he's
a
big.
small.
He's hard to
He's big
tackle.
in the play. He's big in pads, basically.
Yeah. Speaking of DJ Lagway, Texas plays Florida this week.
Right.
You know, getting back to the grind. It is very, very important that you know, Texas, 11 a.m. game. You're back to your normal. had nothing but afternoon and night games, and we don't have any more night games pending. What happens with the Kentucky game can turn into a night game
I can
at
see that.
DKR, and the of course, listen, if A&M and Texas is playing for a spot in the SEC title game, that will
That'll
be
be
a
a night. That will be a night game. It'll be
that
flex.
will be
Well,
a night.
it's gonna be a night game.
It's definitely it's not only going to be a night game, but it's heading into a potential top 10, top 5 matchup. Like there's
I mean,
very high opportunity.
if again, we need A&M to you need A&M to handle their business.
Well, you got to
and-
handle your business too, right? The next 3 weeks.
yeah, for sure. No, not downplaying that at all. They got New Mexico State coming up. I'm gonna assume that that's gonna be a win. They've got Auburn, and of course, then they have a Texas. So
And they got to buy this week. So
they got So they're not playing this week. They
think-
play on the
I
16th. I'm sorry.
think they handle their business heading into that Texas game. Now it's going to be a matter of can Texas handle their business, and so let's talk about the first piece of handling that business. This is where we go game by game now, right?
Right.
So Texas, Florida. We don't know if DJ Lagway is going to play this week. I saw something. I read something where has he been practicing?
I have not seen any information on DJ Lagway.
Yeah. So right now,
which they want to win, and if he's available,
let's see.
You're saying he could return as of 2 days ago. That's really all that we got, though.
What's today? Wednesday? I think we get the first injury report tomorrow.
Yeah, on Thursday.
Yeah, so we'll know. Somebody says that he's not expected to play this week. And they also lost wide receiver Eugene Wilson III for the season. And then maybe their running back Trayon Webb. So we'll see. That was just posted by an hour ago by onlygators.com. They've got 67,000 followers, so that's a pretty big following. So that might be something to look out for.
Golly, way to put the work in.
So shout out to those guys. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. That's the latest. Let me see if there's anything on the latest. But yeah, I think the first injury reports will come out tomorrow after the Thursday press conferences. We'll see. According to there was an update according to Jacob Redner from 24/7. Basically said he's got a grade 2 hamstring strain. Unexpected, quote unquote, positive updates in the aftermath of what seemed like devastation. Napier said Monday he wasn't ready to roll him out. So I guess we'll kind of see, right?
I think they're gonna take it day by day because again, like you said,
they might take it to the very end, dude, because they don't want Texas to know.
Lagway is a big kid. He's 6'3", 6'4", 240. Like that kid is
he can't move.
He can move and he can scoot. He does remind me of Cam Newton, and what he was doing in Georgia was impressive.
What I was saying is, if the hamstring is a limitation to his movement, does he then become a detriment versus a threat?
I think if he can't move, if he can't really, because I mean, again, like throwing motion, he's got a big arm, dog. Like he throws with his entire body. You can't.
Yeah. I've seen him play. Very good.
He again. I was very impressed with what he did to Georgia. That ball, there was a deep ball that he put up in the air against Georgia, and he looked
on the money. Yeah.
I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Oh, okay." Like I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and again, this is another Texas kid. You know what I'm saying? So of course, like, I want to check out what these other kids are doing, man. Like we knew, like that was a big get for Florida. We talked about it, you know, when it went down.
Yep.
What that was going to do for Florida. Did Napier get his guy? And honestly, we talked about it at the beginning of the season when we kind of saw that Florida wasn't going to be the Florida that we know of, or the Florida of old, that this might be Napier's saving graces to put Lagway out there and just kind of see what he can do. And if he can do something,
right,
you know, this could be a job-saving, you know, situation if Napier gets some other guys in there that can, you know, maybe some other offensive weapons.
Yep.
you might be working with something.
You might be cooking something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's just assume Napier or DJ Lagway plays. What are you looking for from a Texas defensive perspective? A team that's the
You got
defense has been the only consistent thing all season. What do you expect?
you gotta send the house. I don't like this. I don't like being in that mentality. But if you've got somebody that's a wounded animal in shark infested waters, right? You got a guy that's got a hamstring injury. He is kind of mobile. He can move around. He can at least extend the pocket. You gotta send the dogs after him. Not to say to knock him out the game, but to just
Test him
we know
out.
exactly.
Yeah. What does it really look like?
You got to see what is because at that time you got to make Napier be like, "Hey, listen, I got to save you as a coach to a player. I need to save you. You don't look good out here. I'm gonna get you killed.
Yep.
So let me put you on the sideline. Let me just put you up for the year because at that point you should just put him up for the year. Don't put him in a situation where he could do something even worse and tear his hamstring or anything like that. It's already a tear is just the grade. Like we don't need a tear off the bone or anything like that.
What does grade 2 mean?
Grade 2 means from what I'm understanding, it's where it's torn. So there's 1, 2, and 3. There's 1 means it's been maybe hyperextended, hurts, very sore. 2 is an actual tear. 3 is like this could be torn completely off the bone, like type situation. Very similar to a ankle sprain. I suffered the only major injury that I've ever really had outside of like cracked ribs, and there's nothing that you can do with a cracked or bruised rib, but just to sit there and let it heal is an ankle, 3rd-degree high ankle sprain. I had to go to the doctor and I was out for like a month and a half.
Okay.
It was that
grade 3. That's probably you broke your ankle, close to breaking your ankle.
Grade 3 means like you need to sit down. Like grade 3 basically means like you've done enough damage to it. Like you need to sit down. Like don't. Yeah.
So according to this Google search, and I don't know who said this, grade 2 hamstring is a partial muscle tear. Muscle hasn't ripped, but but it is a little bit more painful than just your normal sprain, right?
Right.
Grade 3 is it completely ripped off the bone. So,
right.
Cool. So yeah, that's what we'll be looking for. I'm curious to see what my guess is they'll probably put him as like questionable.
I think he'll be a daytime decision.
Yeah, I agree.
And again, like it's not that I don't like these other teams. I do want to see these other teams do good for the sake of like if Texas is able to go in and beat these teams at their best, it just makes the team look that much better and it makes the conference look stronger. But in a situation like this, I wouldn't even risk it. Like why even?
Yeah, if you're Florida, you're sitting at 4-4, right? The problem with Florida is they're in that like 4-4 area where it's like you could teeter towards over 500, but you can't. But the rest of your games are Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, and Florida State.
Ugh.
So you have to win 2 of those 4 games to become bowl eligible.
That's rough. That's a rough situation.
That's the challenge that comes apart. So they need one of these 4. They need to win. If they pull out, let's just say they lose to Texas, right? They'll beat Florida State, and so then it comes down to, can you beat LSU or Ole Miss? That's
rough. That's rough, man. That's a rough. Hey, man, listen. I commend him. I commend Lagway for even being optional because he could be like my quarterback and just be like, I'm going on MRI for 4 weeks. So, shout out to him. True Texas kid. That's how we ball.
With that being said, how do you see this game going this week?
It's not close. You want me to be completely honest? Listen, I got Texas winning this game 35-10. I think I think they get back.
Assuming Lagway doesn't play.
Yes, I think I don't think Lagway plays again. Save that kid. You got a daunting schedule for the last 4 weeks of the season. Um, if you want to get him as healthy as possible, that I don't, having him play the next 7 days later is absolutely crazy to me.
Yeah.
So I just don't see him playing again. I got Texas winning 35-10. I think the defensive line has a day. I think the offensive line, you know, keeps Quinn necessarily clean. I don't see them, putting too much pressure up on old Quinn there. I personally would like to see a run dominant game. I don't think we're going to see that. I think they're going to try to get Quinn out there, get his confidence back. But I would like to see more of a run dominant game. I would like to see Texas more on running the ball, controlling the clock, controlling the pace of the game, and getting out of there. But again, I think that this will be a bounce back game for Quinn. Get out there, get the reps that you need, get your guys involved, get them out of there. I can see him out of there maybe mid fourth quarter.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I mean, I think assuming DJ doesn't play, I probably have Texas winning like 28-10 or 28-3.
Okay.
I just don't see them producing enough offense without DJ.
Mhm.
That quarter that third. Remember, their second string Graham Mertz is out for the season as well. So
Yeah, he's
they
done.
would have to go to that freshman
First
out
and
of
third.
Yale.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they'd have to go with that freshman out of Yale. I just don't think it generates enough offense for them. I think this Texas defense continues to play well. I would see a return of this offensive line. I think this offensive line is going to play very well this week.
I
They've
think
been
we
under
all
a
want
lot
to
of
see.
heat,
I think we all want to see that, right? At
and I think
this
that's
point, yeah.
partially part of why Quinn has struggled a little bit is that offensive line has not been great. It's actually not looked good at all across the board. Um, Kelvin Banks is not looking, and it's not just about blocking and it's pre-snap penalties. Penalties occurring when drives are moving and pushing you behind the chains. Like it's the discipline of the offense. I think it's more than just Quinn hasn't been playing well. I think the offense as a whole has been struggling. I would expect that to return. Sure.
Right.
So I've got Texas 28-3. You got Texas 35-10.
35-10.
Cool. Where can the people find you?
One before we close out of here, shout out to Kelvin Banks. He's actually getting ready to be a dad.
Oh, for real?
Yeah,
Shout
out to Kelvin Banks. Shout out to Mr. Banks Sr. I know he follows us on social media. Shout out to you. Congrats. I don't know if this is your first grandson or granddaughter, but congrats to the Banks family. I don't have kids, but I know they always talk about the first one and how special it is. So, again, congratulations to the Banks family. It's a good time, man. Like Kelvin Banks finna do some real big things. We about to have his first kid, possibly be in the top 5 in the NFL draft next year. Like, man,
life is great. Life is great for Kelvin Banks and the Banks.
He's gonna graduate early. My man's looking at being possibly a college football champion, conference champions in the championships in the loom. Like, it's a good time.
What a time! What a world he lives in right now. That's awesome.
But yeah, you can find me.
Did you, on a side note, non-Texas, did you know Matt Leinert's son just committed to SMU?
Why not? Why not look at them?
Oil money.
Why not? They look fantastic. They look fantastic. Look what they did last week. Look what they did last week.
Sleep on SMU.
They look, again, we've been talking about them. We don't hate. We understand what's in our backyard. And SMU, Baylor's, and even A&M's, like they're not short on money, dog. Like SMU's got that oil money, Baylor's got that Dr. Pepper money, A&M's got the agriculture on lock. Hey man, like that's why it's important that Texas continues to win, because we could end up seeing a Matt Leinart Jr. Playing against Texas in a playoff situation. It's very possible with where they're at. They're the first two out, A&M and SMU. That could be a big thing. So Again, man, it's just all about handling your business. We know that something's gonna happen. Something freaky is gonna happen. It always does with this. Um, as is Oregon, have they been the longest number one team this year so far?
Now Texas was number one for like what 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay. Okay. The reason why I asked that because I know Georgia was up there for a minute,
Yep.
then Texas,
Yep.
now Oregon. Was Ohio State ever ranked number one?
No, I think they were two.
They were two. Okay.
So they
So
got up to two.
it could like it just feels like that 2000, what was that? 2013 season where everybody that got up there high enough to be ranked got knocked off.
Yep.
Same thing happened to A&M. You think A&M is going to pull it out now last week, and they get dog walked. It's like it just
Yeah, it's crazy. So Cole Leinert's only a 3-star prospect.
Mhm.
Obviously out of California, right? He's currently a junior, and yeah, he commits today. And
Oh,
he's
shout
only
out.
been looked at. He's only been looked at by UNLV, San Jose State, and Arizona. Are the only
That's
school. So this 2026 is still 2 years away. A lot can happen between now and 2026.
oh yeah, for sure. When he
So
messes around and wins
interesting
a
to
state
see what happens.
championship or something like that,
Yeah.
yeah, teams will
Well, he
teams
goes around and he continues to get better.
he
Shout out
goes
to
to win.
Derek King. You know what? I got to tell you something about Derek King.
Okay.
So, hey, you got anything else tonight, man?
No. Shout out to Diabell. He's been looking really, really good. Also,
Yep.
God, he looks great. Not overshadowing Arch, but Dia looks something kind of special, dog. Like
Well, he would be the guy after Arch,
he
right?
will be
That
the
that
guy
would be
after
the
Arch,
hope.
but he looks good. He looks
It would
good.
it would be a battle between him and who's the other guy? KJ Lacey.
Oh, I
But
forgot about
potential
KJ.
potentially Owens too. Trey Owens, who's still on the roster.
Oh,
Bro, we got quarterbacks for days.
I got quarterbacks up the wazoo. But yeah, you can find me at Tim Lane. Again, you want to talk football, you want to talk college football, shout out to them for doing that update. I've been really enjoying those new uniforms that they put in. Really been enjoying those. Especially seeing other teams like playing other teams in college football. So really been enjoying that. Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. At
You
Tim
can
Lane.
find me at the Uncle Gandhi. Obviously, you can find us both on Twitter at LH Fan Battle. And yeah, that's it from us. We
Oh yeah,
will.
make sure you guys follow us on TikTok, man. Please
Oh
follow
yeah,
us.
yeah, yeah. Follow us on TikTok.
Follow us on TikTok, man. Look, I've been trying to be more active on TikTok and just talking to people and engaging with people. And so far it's worked out very well. So um give us a follow on TikTok, man. It's funny how the difference between like TikTok users and Twitter users, I guess, or X users. TikTok users don't know a lot. Well, they know their sport, they know their team, but outside of like recruits coming in, incoming recruits, they don't seem to know a lot or do know a lot of in-depth detail about these recruits. So it's fun talking to people and educating people on the recruits that are coming in versus like Twitter and X, where everybody seems to know everything and everybody and everyone that's coming into the school. Listen, at one point in time, it was so overwhelming, I couldn't keep up. So
Yeah.
I know if I can't keep up, I know a lot of people that are just regular old fans can't keep up. So again, follow us up on TikTok, engage with us, man. We talk back. And if you're on Twitter or X and you're talking trash, my man Gandhi is gonna get on you and he gonna roast you until you want ask for in the DMs for us to quit.
I've been kind of busy this week, but we also didn't get a chance to talk about the Texas basketball team. They did
Oh
lose to
man,
Ohio State on Monday. Trey Johnson looks good.
Trey Johnson looks great.
The
Looks
rest
great.
of this team, they're gonna. It's gonna take some time. Somebody described it well. It's like Trey Johnson is this Lamborghini surrounded by a bunch of Fords. So it's like, I was like, oh, well damn.
Oh
So,
man, why?
it's just the first game. Ohio State, they led, they led that game end to end. So we'll that team will continue to grow. I listen. This team actually has some good players on it. You look at obviously Trey Johnson is one of them. Julian Larry, I think, played some solid minutes. Kaluma is a big guy, the big guy from Kansas State. That guy's got some moves, man. He's got a
Yeah,
good
he
post
does.
game.
Yeah, he
For me,
does.
Cedric is the defensive anchor. He just needs to find a way to stay healthy. I think we'll be fine.
If he can stay healthy, then we'll be all right. I personally believe
We
that.
just got to give it some time.
Yeah, if he can stay healthy, I think we are in a situation where I'm not saying we're gonna. I don't think we'll win the conference, but I would just like to get into the tournament at this point. Last
Also,
year,
I thought Jason Camp played really well too.
yeah, for sure. Listen, there are bright spots on this team.
Yeah.
There are definitely bright spots on this team, and I can't go into detail because I don't necessarily know everybody on the team, but there are some definite bright spots on the team. I know from a standpoint of like this conference is going to be new. We got new people to play, new old
New
rivalries,
coaches, new
new
faces.
coaches. Arkansas looks like they might take it all. That's what they're saying, that Arkansas is going to basically run the conference. Don't necessarily know how that's going to go, but hey,
The great John Calipari, baby.
hey man, I would have loved to have Calipari at this point. I would have loved because I don't know about this Bonnie
I
Terry.
don't know about Terry, but I don't know. I don't know if Calipari would have been my first choice to go after.
Yeah.
So
But
we'll see.
We'll see. When's the next game? The next game is tomorrow.
Tomorrow night versus Texas Christian. So they'll get a couple warm-up games over these next couple weeks. Hopefully that'll get those guys, they're re-engaged and kind of, getting to learn each other and understand each other. Their next big test, Syracuse, on the week before Thanksgiving. So we'll see what happens there. But hey, between now and then, we'll see you guys then. My name's Harish. That's my guy, Tim Wayne.
So Gabriel.
Go home, touchdown like the end zone. When the circle to the